Welcome to Forever, man. Let's go. Come on. This forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. Go. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself.
On this week's episode of the Dads Who Live podcast, we have Jonathan Baumgartner. We talk about how life is what you make it. We go through struggle and how we turn that struggle into leadership to be the best versions of ourselves in everyday life.
Welcome to the Dads Who Live podcast. Joel Staley.
Tyler Gata, and I have one of my best friends, John Baumgartner, here with us today.
What's up?
So today we're going to talk about, the whole theme's going to be life is what you make it. And so today's my birthday. It's 31 years old. I'm old as balls today. And so it's not going to be my birthday when this airs because it'll be, who knows, a week or two or whatever later. But I'm reflecting a lot, and you go back through the past year of what happened. And it's like, holy shit, man, it's been like, it's been good, but it's been a shit show. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened, good and bad. So it got me thinking. We actually had a whole different topic planned for this podcast with John. But it got me thinking about life and how things happen and how I do, and I've seen you do it, and I've seen you do it. People that are growth-minded always turn that, like, you don't sulk on it and make it a bad thing. You turn it into a positive and you grow and you move forward. So John has been through, a lot of shit in the past probably 3 years, right?
Heavy stuff.
So John works for me too, and he's my right-hand guy, my best guy. And so when I first met him, he was, I don't know if you completely call it happily married at that point. You guys were struggling, but you were married. And then you kind of went through this thing the past few years where you got really low, and then now I'm seeing you back up, which is awesome. And that's, before I get into you, and I'll let you talk and tell your story, but I went through the same exact thing, which is what's crazy is, I went through the same fucking thing that you're going through and have been through, just like, how old's my kid's 9, so 8 years ago, I went through the exact same thing, to a T. And now I'm raising my kid on my own, and you are basically raising your child on your own for the time being.
Yep.
So you want to kind of go into everything that happened, man?
Yeah, where do we start?
You can share as much as you want, and you can share as little as you want, man. Don't feel like you have to air shit that
I like
you don't
to share
want to,
because
I'm pretty open about
you guys
everything.
feel the same thing. Something that I can share that you might learn from, and I believe I can learn from other people's mistakes. So, just being with you, working for you in this last, almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Meeting Joel, these are positive guys, and it's brought positivity back into me, which has helped me kind of start this different mindset and the way of thinking. A couple years ago, I had 2 other kids in my life. One wasn't mine, but I was her dad since 3 months old. I had a child with her mom. I thought he was my son. Her and I didn't work out. We split up, but I still had both kids. And I got married, and my ex-wife had 3, so we had 5 kids. It was great. I became very content in that life. I was financially able to provide, and I was like, I feel confident, and I had God and church and family, and thought I was the happiest I've ever been. Found out that the son from that first relationship wasn't biologically mine, and he was 4 years old. So
That's a kick in the nuts, man.
It was totally...
How'd you find out, man, if you don't mind me asking?
My ex-wife never... My baggage was too much for her. She didn't like my ex. Kids, mom was kind of trashy and just not the same way that we were, so it just was heavy on her, and so she pushed me to doing a DNA test. And I'm like, no way, I'm not doing this. He's my son. Well, I did it, and out of left field, 0%. So that drove a wedge in between her and I immediately. But yeah, I found out he wasn't mine. Ex took the kids and just up and moved, never saw him again. And the girl was 5.5 and he was 4. And I raised these kids as my own for 5.5, 4 years. So it was tough because I didn't.
And anybody that knows John, man, I've had the privilege to know John for years, and he is one of the best fathers you ever made. Kids are number one.
Yeah, this podcast podcast, this group, I mean, it's great because dad is my number one passion. I mean,
Yep.
absolutely through and through, like being a dad is what I was created for. I mean, I just believe that. I feel that. So, yeah, I found out that they weren't mine. She upped and moved. And that started a lot of troubles in my marriage. We just didn't see eye to eye. I wanted growth. I had been working hard my whole life. Grew up super poor, abuse, a lot of challenges. And I just pushed myself. You know, I'm going to be the best worker. That's what it all boiled down to. I'm going to work harder than everybody. I might not be the smartest, best, but everything that I fail at, I'm going to get better at. You know, I can do anything. Set me up to do it. I might fail once, but I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna keep moving forward, and moved from being poor to, you know, just middle class, not anything special, but felt confident and felt good about it. And
You're providing for your family.
yeah, providing for my
you
family.
know?
So I felt good. But our marriage was failing. So the home life was miserable. Coming to work, I mean, you guys could tell. And there was
Yeah.
a point in time, I could just tell that it was starting to affect my work, my parenting, my relationships. So this marriage was just way too toxic. And amongst some other things, I don't want to, you know, badmouth my ex. But there's other factors that kind of started coming into play that I just realized I needed to protect myself, and I wasn't growing. Like the toxicity was like bringing me down, and it wasn't who I wanted to be. So I just decided, you know, I tried everything. Hey, let's go to marriage counseling. Let's, you know, get a church group. I wanted to
Plan a vacation, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you definitely tried everything.
I wanted to, if I were to step away, I wanted to know that I put everything into it to try and save it. Because I'm not a quitter. I won't quit at anything in life, and I didn't want to give up.
And it was your second marriage.
So yeah, the first one, it was short lived. I used to want to save people. So the first girl I was with, had a son with her, and she was a little bit younger, and I was maybe 23. I'm like, hey, let's get married. Maybe she'll settle down, be the wife that I want. Like I had this image in my mind of what I wanted, and I was trying to control all these things, like, and just have this control over everything. And nothing went as I planned in either marriage. So now, you know, I am, you know, divorced twice. First one, short-lived, like 6 months, and it didn't work. This one was a year and a half, didn't work. But it put me to a rock bottom low, and I thought I'd been low over periods of time with drug abuse, partying, loss of friendships, being homeless. My mom kicked me out when I was 17 just because I didn't want to follow her rules. I wanted to do what I wanted, and she, you know, so 17, I was crashing couches, sleeping in my truck, senior in high school, living, working, paying rent, trying to go to school, dropped out, ended up going back the next year to finish school because I felt like that was one thing I needed to do. And so, yeah, I just really had no purpose, no plan. So the first child that I fell in love with gave me a purpose. Like, oh my God, the world's not about me. Like, how selfish could I really be? So fast forward till now, I worked hard. You know, I dedicated, you know, everything I did was for the kids, for my family, but I didn't really do a lot for myself. And over the last couple of years, you know, knowing Tyler and some other friends, my mind is now starting to grow. And my mind is, it's amazing the things that I've kind of uncovered in the last year.
Isn't it crazy how when you remove that negativity from your life, then you can actually breathe, you can actually grow?
It when you said it, the weight, I could just feel
Yeah.
like the weight lifting again, because I carried so much negativity with me. I didn't forgive people who, you know, I should have forgave years and years ago. And finally, so this mindset that I'm in control, I'm powerful. And I tell myself this, you know, affirmation, like my ex used to tell me, you're POS, you're a horrible dad. And I used to tell her, like, no, I'm a good dad. Like as soon as she would say something negative to me, no, I'm a good dad. I'm a good human. I'm a good person. Like, so I would cancel out anything negative she tried putting into my mind, and I would tell myself, no, I'm a good man, I'm a good father, I'm a good leader, I'm a good friend, like this is what I want to be. And so I started telling myself these things every single day.
What you say, what you believe
Yeah.
becomes reality.
Whether you want to call it manifestation or, you know, energy or positivity.
That's what I want to get into if I can jump in here for a second.
Yeah.
So you guys are always talking about the law of attraction and manifesting and stuff. Do you think that back when with your first two marriages, just because of the person you were at the time, you were attracting these type of people? Or do you think maybe, you know, the universe put them in your life for a reason to make you better? Or what's your, why do you think all this happened?
That's a good question. I don't think I was attracting them. I wanted something, but I wasn't envisioning it every day. Like I wanted a happy marriage, so I tried to force it, but I didn't think and like, oh, I am happy. This is a good, like, I didn't think that way. I just forced it. Like, hey, marry me. Let's make this work. These are more like bodily actions instead of my mind every day thinking and feeling. And no, I don't think I necessarily attracted the right person. And yeah, every situation I think now that I look back, I've grown from. So they were in my life for a reason. I had 2 kids that I loved as my own for a reason. I had 6 kids at one time. Now I'm down to 1. So I mean, I've got so much experience that I'm proud to be standing tall today. I mean, I've loved kids, and I have 1 son, and I've learned to set boundaries, and I've learned to, like, channel, the positivity out of every situation. I don't care if, you've been hurt, someone's wronged you. There's a positive no matter what. Hey, yeah, this person wronged me. And I just had this thought a few weeks ago, like, not everybody is in control of their emotions the way that I feel like I am now. Why should I fault you for not being able to control how you feel and think at all times? Because we're emotional. If I were to punch you, you'd probably get pissed off and punch me back, right?
Last time I saw Johnny spilled his beer all over my pants, and I had to leave the restaurant looking like I pissed my pants. And we still love each other. So
that was a fun night.
So I think it's both, man. When I look back at all the toxicity or negative relationships and things that I had in my life prior to where I'm at now, I think you attract. I think everything's vibrations, and whatever level you're vibrating at is what you attract into your life. So if you're living out of anxiety or fear,
yep,
you're gonna attract somebody that's also living out of anxiety and fear.
Yep.
If you love yourself and you believe in yourself and you think like, man, I really am a good fucking person, which is where I'm at now, then that's what's gonna come into your life. And I can actually see the difference. It's wild. Like for the first time in my life, just with dating and going on dates and things like that. The quality, I don't know, I don't want to bring anybody down and say quality, but the type of person I'm attracting now is completely different than the type of person that I attracted in the past. And it's so much so different that, like, sometimes I don't even know what to do. Sometimes I'm like, this is fucking weird. Not that I don't know what to, like, say or do on the date, but it's just like, man, this is just, what I've found is when you're in your vortex or you're in alignment with your soul, things just fucking happen. Like the universe will bring it to you and things come to you. And when those things come to you, it's like free flowing. Like you don't have to fucking try. You know what I mean? Like I've had so many toxic relationships where it's like, you're always have to try to make things happen, And when it comes free flowing, I don't feel like it does that. So I think I did attract the shitty relationships I was in. I think I did attract them. But I also think that that's what I needed. I think that was also the universe bringing it to me to get me to the next level of where I'm at now. Because every single thing I've done, I've grown from. And I don't want this to be, we've already had a relationship podcast. Like, I don't want this to be a negative, all about relationship type podcast. I want this to be growth minded, right? So we took this shit and where did we go?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. If you could give yourself, what was this, 10 years ago, 5 years ago? When did all this?
No, this last one was just like
this last one, final in January actually, but it was a year in process of trying to get her to cooperate and come to the right terms. And it's still ongoing. I mean, there's things that I'm having to do, dealing with her still.
So when you could go back, hold on here. If you could go back to when you first got into that first marriage where this all started
7-8 years ago, yeah.
What advice would you give yourself today if you could go back? Would you still be like, hey, some shit's going to go down, but you got to learn from it? Or would you say you got to be more careful and make sure that, get that DNA test right away? Like, what would you give 7 years ago, John Bob Gardner advice?
Well, I tell Tyler this all the time. I tell like guys that, I'm trying to help grow and stuff. It's okay to fail. I think it's necessary, 100%.
Daily.
Like you need to fail to grow. And anytime someone fails and I tell them like, all right, I messed up, but I know I won't make that same mistake. I can change it. I can do something better differently. So I wouldn't say, hey, this is going to happen. Don't let it happen or do something differently because it's got me to, where I'm at, the man I am, my mindset now. So no, I definitely wouldn't change it. But advice that I give myself now at 30 years old, I can't control anything in this world
Yes.
other than this right here. And unfortunately, my body, and I listened to this, I don't remember,
Joe Dispenza.
Yeah, Joe Dispenza. And another light bulb. And as I'm listening to all this stuff, I never really, so advice to myself, focus on you, personal growth. Personal
Real quick,
growth.
if you guys haven't checked out Dr. Joe Dispenza, a quick shout out to Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's got all kinds of videos on YouTube, books. If you're into the whole manifestation thing, he's definitely someone you want to check out.
And so you said you're listening to it. One of the big takeaways I got from that was we programmed our bodies over a period of time. A failed relationship, I emotionally felt a certain way, and it carried on for years, which became a characteristic, a personality trait of who I was. Not just, I was mad for a day. So I carried all these things, all these fears, all these, emotions, and my body just instinctively, a girl doesn't text me back right away. Automatically, my body's programmed to feel a certain way, and it creates, it tells my brain how I should be anxious and how I should be fearful. And I'm just now learning. So younger me, go ahead and invest in yourself, and you can only control yourself, and you can only control. The strongest thing about it is your mind, your mindset, growth of mind. And I mean, now at 30, I'm all about, self-growth. I want to learn, I want to absorb things, and I want to be in control, not of like my surroundings, because all this stuff can change. But if I'm who I want to be every day, I feel like I love myself now more than I ever have. And I'm happier than I ever have. I'm divorced. I've had kids. I've lost kids. But to this day, I mean, I've got a great career. I've got good peers around me who are positive mindset of people, and that attraction, so we're attracted. We become really close friends, and, we're very like-minded. So it's great to have people like that, because you need that in your life to build you up. And it's subtle reminders. Hey, I'm kind of being lazy, get off, and so to get into the lifting part, dads who lift, for me, I got a 2.5-year-old, he's almost 3. I go down there and I work out, and he comes down, he hangs out, but he sees me consistently doing this routine. And it's not the physical. I mean, I love feeling good and I want to be strong and healthy, but it's a mindset. It's, it's a lifestyle that I've chosen. Like, I'm going to discipline myself. I'm going to callous my mind. I'm going to work out. I'm going to stay healthy. And teaching my son is consistency, is routine. I don't want to lift every day. Some days I get down there, I'm 30 minutes in, I'm like, all right. And that moment right there is what gets me.
So you need some of that dads who live pre-workouts.
That's right. And in that moment, when my mind is, my body's telling my mind, oh, you're tired. That's when I fall in love with being, powerful in my mind, because my mind can say, no, push through this, and you guys are the same way. Like, there's challenges every day, but mentally, I'm becoming more prepared to face those challenges. So,
and what resources do you utilize to callous your mind, like you said, besides just working hard and following through with what you're going to say? What books, podcasts, anything that you can recommend?
I'm a huge podcast fan. Books, audiobooks. I don't, this guy can read. I can't read to save my life. It makes me tired. I mean, I can read, but I get sleepy eyed. So while working out,
no, he doesn't know how to read.
it's not very good. Recent book that I listened to is The Obstacle is the Way, and it just aligned with how I feel. Like any challenge,
Ryan Holiday.
yeah, any challenge that comes up, there's two different types of people. One person's going to look at it and turn around and walk the other way. The other person's going to stop, figure out how to overcome that obstacle, to get around it, to to learn from it, to grow from it. And another concept was embracing all of your fate, good, bad. Bad things happen. I appreciate the bad things because I can grow. I know I can move forward. So yeah, audiobooks. I substitute a lot of that when I'm working out. I jam music sometimes, but I find that I actually listen.
I go back and forth too. Yeah.
I listen deeper when I'm working. My body knows I need to do these reps. My body knows that. I don't need to focus on necessarily lifting, but yeah, I mean, audios, reading, surrounding yourself with like-minded guys who are going to push you and elevate you to be better, to not just be content. So that's
one thing that I keep thinking of is a conversation that we had. Shit, it was probably like a year ago now, maybe. Yeah, probably about a year ago in the shop, but about how growth-minded people, man. How hard is it to be so like growth-minded people like to surround themselves with growth-minded people, right? That's how we continue to grow. But when you're in a relationship, and it doesn't even have to be a relationship, but like a friendship or at work or whatever, how do you combat being around people that are not growth-minded but are in your close circle? You know what I mean? Because I'm circling back to this conversation where I think I was going through a breakup right when you first started dealing with the shit with your now ex-wife, and the whole theme to what we were talking about, and it was like the same exact thing, was you cannot move forward if you're looking back.
Yep.
You know, and you can't even move forward if you stop to see where they're at, someone behind you. You know, like you're either fucking going forward or you're going back. That's it. There's forward or back. So what I was doing, what I've done in relationships, and like I said, this doesn't even have to be a relationship. It could be a friendship. It could be someone you work with, whatever. I mean, a family member, whatever. But I've always been a fast-paced type person in my life. You know, I strive for success. I've always been growth-minded, so I'm always pushing. I'm always trying to get where I want to be. Not even really ahead of anybody, but just where I see myself, which is always, you know, really fucking far ahead. And but what I was doing is I had these people in my life, and nobody was keeping up. Everybody was falling back, and it's not like, this isn't an ego deal to where it's like, I'm better than you because you couldn't keep up with me. It's just people are in different places in their life. It's not saying that one's better than the other at all, you know? But if you're at a different place than the people around you in your close circle and you're constantly looking back, then you're stopping, and you are stopping your own progress. You know what I mean? Like, what I've found is when you're on your path and like you're in that growth and you keep moving, just like I am now, people come around you, and it just happens, that are on the same path. You know, you don't have to turn around and look, and it might not be the same people that were with you a year ago. You know what I mean? But people come into your life, and they're just there. It was no fucking coincidence that, you know, I lost my one of my best friends, Max Brumman, used to be my right-hand man. And we had years together. And we're still good friends today, but it just, things were changing in his family. Things weren't working out, and he had to make a career change. So I was freaking out. You know, what the fuck am I going to do? You know, this guy basically, you know, helps me run the company, runs all the dailies, all that stuff. And then John came in, and, you know, he's grown like crazy since he came in, but just to have a guy come in that has basically gone through the exact same things that I have and gone through a lot of the same things at the same fucking time, and then get to a place now to where, you know, I'm training him this year to run my company. You know, I've started other ventures. I want to do more with this podcast. I want to do more with Joel with, you know, having conferences and shit around the world. And I want to help people, and we want to motivate. And I can't do that when I'm daily into one company, you know? So it's just crazy how things come full circle, and you really have to keep that growth around you, and you have to keep moving forward. And what I found is that, like, even when you don't think it's going to work out, as long as you're in that, it always works out. Like, down the road, I mean, you could be doing it today. I mean, I still have days where I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Actually, every day, probably, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? But you look like, just even in this last year, man, all the shit that I've done and that you've done in the last year, it's just insane. I mean, it's crazy. I couldn't even think of, when I turned 30 to 31 today, all the shit I was going to go through in that year. I mean, it's just nuts.
Yeah, for sure. What motivates you, John? Like, especially when you're down on your luck, you're finding out all this shit's hitting the fan. You said that you've always been growth-minded and eye on the prize, but what is it that gets you out of bed on days you don't want to wake up early and lift or whatever it is?
So there are days, and I mean, physically, I was depressed when I went through some of that stuff. I mean, physically, you know, and I feel if you're depressed, get help. I mean, there's days I couldn't get out of bed. Like, I had a job to do. I had kids at home. I couldn't go to work. I didn't go to work. I couldn't get out of bed. What motivates me is, and I've told you this, I know that I'm powerful. You know, I used to like be controlled by all these outside things, but it's more than an obligation. I like routines and structure. If you can have a routine and a structure, it makes it a lot easier. I get up the same time every morning. I have the same routine. You know, so I'm kind of programming my body to do these things. And after you do it, you know, after 21 days, you know, it becomes a habit. So the first 3 weeks, you know, hey, you might not enjoy doing this, but the challenge is part of the reward. Like, you're teaching yourself to do this routine. So for me, Even if I don't, I wake up before my alarm now. Like my alarm goes off. Like I've already been up for 15, 20 minutes because I've gotten myself into that routine, that habit. So for me, it's consistency is what it all boils down to. Just being consistent, doing the same thing, and willpower. I want to be the toughest, baddest motherfucker in the room. Plain and simple. I mean, I might not be the biggest,
Good
the
luck.
most, you know, but we're all men here. You want to be the baddest motherfucker, and that's what it comes down to. I want to be the best dad.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to compete with anybody. I got to answer to myself, and so I mean, I hold myself accountable and accountability, consistency and accountability. Like no one has to look over my shoulder, and I think that's why I've been able to do well with you and the company. Is I mean, I need support and I need some some push along the way, but I hold myself accountable and to a higher standard than I think a lot of people that aren't growth minded. And it took a long time to get there, but kind of just realized no one's gonna hold my hand, no one's gonna give me a leg up in the world, no one's just gonna roll out the red carpet, but I can make all that shit happen. So consistency and accountability. It's not easy to start. I mean, but once you get going, it just kind of comes natural. Being a good dad, I mean, he's my driving factor, to be honest. I mean, I've loved tons of kids, and I thank God because now I have almost a 3-year-old, but I've parented from birth to a 13-year-old. Got a lot of experience, and I'm going to give that little boy, like, the best that I can do. And so, I mean, he's blessed, but I feel even more blessed just being able to be his father at this point with the knowledge and the things that I've been through. So, I mean, coming home, you know the feeling. Kid's happy to see you. It's hard work.
Best feeling in the world,
hard
man.
work all day long. And those that don't have kids, consistency.
Get a dog.
And get a dog.
Get a dog.
Next best thing.
But yeah, I mean, my son. I mean, anything I could do for him. I didn't come from a lot, so I want to try and give him a better opportunity. So there's tons of, things you can use to motivate yourself. It doesn't have to be a kid. It doesn't have to be, I want to be the best, but it doesn't have to be those things. I mean, I want to be healthy. I don't want to be the 400-pound guy on the couch who can't tie his own shoes. Like that doesn't sit well with me. So just being the best me. And since I've come to this different mindset, and I was talking about it, feeling abundant. Those feelings, I feel energized every day. I just make myself feel abundant. I'm in love with who I am. Yeah, absolutely gratitude. I'm thankful for every little thing that I have and everything that I don't have that I know is coming to me. I just feel that way. The universe has created the life. I know what's coming, and so I'm just doing my due diligence every day, just living that way, being grateful, being humble.
What's your morning routine look like? You mentioned a morning routine. I keep hearing more and more about how important that is to start your day and just get the momentum going. What's yours look like?
Well, I just took coffee out of my life, so it's a little bit more of a struggle now.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
So I get up, about 5:30.
But why?
Yeah, why is that?
I don't want to rely on. I want to rely on myself. Caffeine gets me going. I'm a little grouchy sometimes. Some of the guys like, you didn't have coffee today. I'm like, nope, I cut it out of my life. So I'm just trying to get myself into. I want to be all natural, like, and get going. I mean, I had a Red Bull before
You're
I
not
came.
gonna start eating vegan, are you?
No, I love steak too much. I've never given up meat, but so I get up 5:30. My alarm's set for like 5:45, 5:50. Get up, brush my teeth, get myself around, kiss my son on the cheek because he's still sleeping. Go downstairs. I got in the habit of making my breakfast every morning, so I'm actually doing something, and I'm trying to gain some weight, so I need to eat, which is horrible about eating. So I just put this structure into place to get up, brush my teeth, get myself ready for work. Kiss my son goodbye. Kissing him goodbye is like, all right, I'm going out to accomplish things for him. As much as it is for me, it's for him. Cooking breakfast, it gives me time. I usually have like an audio on, 15 minutes to make my breakfast. Some motivational, something that charges me up. Motivational speeches are great, but I don't think they sit long with you. Like you might be pumped up in the minute, and I've just kind of learned like it does get you motivated temporarily, but it's not a long-term lasting effect. And David Goggins, I think you pushed me out of the book. You Can't Hurt Me.
Yep.
I've been listening to that. I want to be a bad motherfucker like that. Like, I just saw my routine.
That dude is a bad motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker.
Shout out to David Goggins. That
Taping
dude's
his
nuts.
shins up, running 60 miles. Like, I just
Fractured,
splintered, shins. Like, you can push yourself farther than you think. It starts up here. So all in my mind every day.
Dude, you got to add, if you haven't already, freezing cold showers to your morning routine.
Freezing cold? Okay.
Telling you.
I don't
Shock.
do that.
Do the shock.
I'm telling you.
Do the shock.
It'll
I know
change the game.
athletes do that. Just after training or working out or games and stuff, they do that shock, and I'll try it.
I want to change direction a little bit and talk about leadership and how we use all these things that we've gone through to turn us into better leaders, and how we create. First of all, what does leadership mean to you, and how do you use that to create better leaders? Because John and I, so John obviously works for me, like we've already talked about, and we have completely opposite. We're both leaders and we're both good leaders, but we have completely opposite ways that we do it. I like to say John is more HR. He's a little bit more softer with the guys, which some guys respond great to and some don't. I mean, there's not a good or a bad way here, but I was always brought up just fucking grind, work as hard as you can, don't be a pussy, get after it. And, you know, I still believe in that format, but I also believe in kind of more of the new age stuff too, where you have to take care of everybody, which is why we've done things like add, you know, investments, add health insurance, give PTO, you know, paid vacations, team building exercises, shit like that. But before you came on, I was definitely way more of the like, no, I mean, I was out there with the guys still almost every day. I guess probably not for the couple years before you came, but a lot of my career I was out there with the guys every day working. So I'm like, fuck, what are you bitching about? I'm doing it. If I can do it, right. You can do it. Let's go. You know.
So at that point, you can call me a little twat all day long because we're that type of guy. I don't, you know, stuff rolls off my back. We can bullshit. You know, I have thick skin. I've just found
that's also a different atmosphere because we're friends. I don't call my employees little twats.
No, yeah. So not to say that. I mean, true. We have a friendship. So being on the softer side, if you will, I want to befriend all of, you know, any. I don't like being called a boss. Like, oh, you're the boss. Like, no, I work for the same company. This is a team. Like, this is our image. Like, I have to, you know, help brand this image a certain way. I'm just as responsible as you, as anybody else. So, you know, I may not be out there in the trenches every single day, but I just have different responsibilities. So as a leader, some guys I can push, you know, I can challenge, and we can have that fun. Like, I'm going to outwork you today. You know, I'm going to be a harder worker than you. I'm going to be in the trenches, you know, and you get that competitive edge. But I've learned some people don't work well like that. Some people don't, you know, they feel inferior, they get intimidated. So I've kind of learned to, you know, soften it up. And I like personal relationships. Since doing this mindset of growth, like one thing that I've never really felt I was good at was building personal relationships. Like, you know, I've had friends and stuff, but the friendships I have now are
investing in people.
Yeah,
man.
investing in
you
people.
Invest in people.
Absolutely. Really caring about them outside of work. You know, I text, hey, how did your operation go? Or how are the kids? You know, hey, how's everything going? Because that shows that I truly care about them. Because that's where I want to be as a person. So being a leader to me now is just, again, it ties back in being the best that I can be, you know, living, you know, and loving myself. I don't expect anyone to love me. I love myself first, and I can give that love and positive, you know, just being positive in any situation. It just flows from me to you, to anybody else that I'm around. So teamwork, accountability. I let everybody know, like, same thing. Like, I'm held accountable just the same that you are. Please hold me accountable. I'm not above you. If I need guys like you to, you know, help me on my A game. There are days I might be slacking or not doing, you know, what I need to for my due diligence. So accountability, and I hold them accountability. And I think a respect goes a long way with, you know, kind of being a little soft sometimes and doing some of these HR stuff, if you will. But I think guys like us enjoy it just as much to have the team building exercises, you know, hanging out.
Yeah.
I don't get to work with all the guys. You know, Tyler and I talk every single day, and we work and we hang out outside of work. So we have a great friendship. He doesn't get to see all the other employees. You know, they go out and they're working, you know, for him. So they have a different mindset when he comes down to the shop, whereas like they're not friends, but they are friends. I mean, he respects and appreciates all of the employees, but they don't have that communication every single day. So incorporating some of this new, you know, philosophy of, hey, we need to be a little bit more personal. I think that's helped us both become great leaders. And I'm a go-getter like you. I mean, so you can, you know, it's your job. Go do it. You know, It is my job. You know, and I've had that conversation with some people too, where if you're disgruntled, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're getting paid to do a job. You're, you know, when you came on as an, you know, and took the agreement, like, we had expectations and guidelines. So as an adult, you're, you know, supposed to live up to that. You know, I'm just going to hold you accountable. And people don't, you know, I don't fire people. People fire themselves. You know, if you can't do what you're supposed to, and it's pretty simple. It's black and white, if you ask me. And I think.
So what do you do when someone does challenge you? It's pretty easy to imagine if someone challenges Gata, he's the owner and he has that rough mentality when it comes to managing people. But when you're more of,
God, you guys are making me sound like an asshole.
No, not at all.
When you're more of like the relationship guy and respecting and just leading by example.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
How's it go when someone like challenges you and says, you're out of line?
It all comes down to respect. So I don't single people out in front of everybody. And I encourage everybody, hey, open door policy type stuff. You can call me anytime. If something's bothering you, I don't put things off. I address issues. We're similar. Like if something comes up right here, right now, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's work through it and then move on. I don't want to dwell. I don't have enough time to dwell on this one situation longer than right now. And employees that do that, they let things fester and build up. And then pretty soon you've got a cancerous person in your atmosphere. So if someone challenges me, I'm actually grateful. I'm like, hey man, I'm very open-minded to hearing what you have to say. Your opinion might not hold strong if like I'm trying to do something that I know is my responsibility to drive the ship a certain way. Your feelings, I'll take it into consideration, but it doesn't necessarily mean that what you feel or how you think about a situation, I'm going to, validate. I'll hear you out. And I think that goes a long way with them. And respectful, I don't just shut them down. I'm like, hey, I appreciate that. Maybe I'll do better at communicating with you. Or now I know that you don't take to me being a certain way. I'll try to change how I manage, my relationship with you. And so every person is individual for me. So call me out. Let's work upon it. Like I'm not, if I'm asking you to change or do things differently, don't think that I won't do the same for you.
So one of the things that I've learned over the years owning companies is that you have to look at yourself first. Is that any time any one of my employees fail, and there are times when employees just made a bad call or a bad decision or whatever it may be, and it's on them. But no matter what, the first thing you have to think is like, did I equip them right? Did I give them all the tools that they need to do the job I asked them to do? Did they have everything they need? Did they have the guidance? Did I plan the job correctly? Did I bid the job correctly? Always have to look at yourself first. And it's not always going to be on you. But if you can do that and then you can come in and more so than not, it's usually half and half. Like, man, I probably could have done this a little bit better as a leader and as a business owner, but they really should have fucking known not to do that, But when you can come into that situation and that conversation with them and say, hey, this is where I fucked up. Now this is where you fucked up. How are we gonna make sure that this doesn't happen again?
Yep.
And then you move forward, because that's all that really matters is growth and moving forward.
Dude, I feel like you're 100% right as far as leading a team, as far as companies go. I think that's true when you're in a relationship, and especially when you're the man of the relationship or the dad, and you got to be the leader of the family. And even like John was talking about, when it's just yourself, you got to lead yourself. You don't want to wake up in the morning. It's still, you got to make that mental switch that, all right, I am going to work with myself. I might not be perfect. My wife might not be perfect. My kids might not be perfect. My employees might not be perfect. But just being willing to meet them where they're at, and then leading them to ultimately where everyone needs to be.
Yeah, so being a leader, you have to lead by example, right? And so my role has changed drastically to where I used to be the leader, more in what John's position is now. Small business owners, we juggle fucking like 10 different jobs, So I'm trying to run all the crews and be with all the guys, but yet I'm still doing the bids and talking to the clients and managing the money and all that shit. So there's a different type of leader when you're actually on the forefront than when you're not. So like now I'm more behind the scenes. I'm doing other ventures. John's running more of the day-to-days. I still bid all the jobs, which that's what we're working on. But up until this point, I've still bid all the jobs, talked to all the managers, deal with all the clients, and, handle all the money. But I'm not in the daily like I used to be. Like I'm not down with the guys every day. I'm not even at the shop every day, So it's a lot of people probably don't even see it, but you and I know, because, my job now, when I step from being with the guys like where you're at now to where I am now, is just to lead us in the direction that I see my vision going as a company owner, right? So I'm driving the ship. I'm saying, John, this is what I see. This is what we're doing. This is where we're heading. Make sure that we're on the same page and we come to a plan together to help us get there. And then you implement that plan.
Yep.
One
thing that I've just been experiencing. So being in the trenches, starting out that way, and then gradually moving into like different responsibilities and not being on that forefront, that creates challenges with the guys. They're used to seeing you out there doing all the hard, some of the labor stuff with them. But as you start switching up roles, and so I've kind of started explaining to them, listen, like I'll step in whenever I need to. Like if you have a problem, I'll find the solution. But it's not my responsibility to be doing these things every single day anymore. Like I need other leaders now that I've shown you how to do this. You know my expectation, which is coming from the owner. It's not my way or the highway. This is how we want the ship to be ran. Be a part of the crew, or you're gonna probably get weeded out. And we've had guys, you know, that I've invested a lot of time into, and I've, you know, sometimes I'm probably too soft sometimes, you know, because I build that personal relationship and then I let things slide. And it's something that I've had to learn, especially in the last year of, you know, okay, here's the boundary, man. Like, and I remember I had to draw an imaginary line one time with the guy, like, listen, this is me. I am, you know, in charge of running this, and this is the direction that I've been told to take it. And on this side of the line, like, it's black and white, man. Like, this is what we're going to do. And if you can't follow these rules or do these things, then maybe we should part ways. On the other side of the line, man, call me. Like, outside of work, if you need a friend, if you need advice, like, because I want to be that person. I want to be there for you. I want to be a good friend. I want to, you know, just help build people up in general. But yeah, so that's been a challenge for me. I want to build everybody up. You know, if someone does not grow, I feel like I failed. That's a personal failure to me. And I've been starting to.
That is being a leader. You know, being a leader is, you should, as a leader, you should want when we're talking about company wise, at least, you should want everybody below you to take your job.
Yep.
Like, people are always so worried about company owners or leaders or whatever, like, oh, I can't train him. I'll get him to here, but I don't want him to take my position. Motherfucker, the only way that you move up is by him taking your position.
Right.
Like, that's the goal, is that you get him. Like, I want John to be able to take my position.
Yep.
And then I'm going off and I'm doing other shit, you know, that my passion is more so towards now. So that's the whole thing. People get it all fucked up. People get it all sideways.
Yeah. John, how can people connect with you and support what you're doing, man?
What do you mean connect with me?
Snapchat. Keep it low key.
He's not a big social media guy.
You know what?
He's in the group, though.
Honestly,
Dads Who
I'm on
Lift.
Dads Who Lift group. I'm not a big social media guy. Part of that is kind of the programming, if you will. I'm not against it. Just for me personally, I find that I spend too much FaceTime on my phone. I have Snap. I have Facebook. Jonathan Baumgartner. I'm in the group. Snap's John Baum 89 BAUM. I mean, if you want to reach out, cool. I love to share, but social media for me, I mean, I'm in the group. I don't comment. I don't share like as much as some of the other people do, but I like reading the comments. A lot of it's some banter back and forth, which is kind of, I need a laugh today, so let me read it. But I appreciate the guys who genuinely share information. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't, you know, I mean, I'm not a trainer, but I like to lift, and I have enough knowledge that when guys give little tidbits, I listen and I apply things differently. If I could do that for somebody else, great. You know, I have the same feeling like you guys do. Like, if I can just share something that I've learned and you can learn from it, cool, man. I think life's a lot about that too. I mean,
We're all here to help each other.
yeah.
That's what it's all about.
So, life is what you make it is what we started this shit on, right? And so we've kind of gone full circle about negativity and what's happened in your life and what's happened in my life. And then it goes into how we get out of that and how we turn that into successes and be the best leaders that we can be, not only in business, but in our personal lives as well, right? We want to lead our families. We want to lead our children as men, as masculine men. You know, we want to surround ourselves with leaders so that we can continue to lead ourselves and grow. Life is what you make it. That's like my theme lately, because I see so many people not owning up to their full potential and blaming everybody else. Mm-hmm. So they're mad at the world because of this, or they're not here because of that. Or even like me, you know, I feel like I'm finally into my own. Like, I finally found myself, so I'm doing me. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody else thinks or does anymore. I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm doing what I want to do. If I want to go take a vacation, I'm going to go take a vacation. And I'll even have people say, like, you know, how do you get there? You know, how do you do that? And it's like, I don't know, man. I truly believe that it's all on you. Like, everything
100%.
is what you make it.
100%.
So where are you at with that? Life is what you make it, and where are you heading?
So
Or how have you seen that evolve in your life, you know?
So there's I love the Facebook motivational quotes, little Johnson thing. I like when people share them on their story. So the one I just kind of got stuck on you can't change your past, but you can change your future starting right now. You can't, I mean, anything in your past, I don't want to be defined by my past, like, oh, poor me, I was, abused as a kid, or I'm divorced, no, like, hell yeah, I'm divorced. I learned from that. I've got more value now because of all these things that happened to me. So I'm making my life one day at a time better. I told you, I have goals. I'm huge on the goals. I got goals for this month. I got goals for next year. I got goals for 5 years from now. If you don't have a goal, you're just kind of living life floating. I mean, there's no real purpose, in my opinion. So whether you're tracking, you want to lose 10 pounds, you want to gain 10 pounds, you want to be a better dad. So I got a goal. Every day when I come home, I put my phone down for 45 minutes. I walk in the door, make sure I've handled whatever business, or if I got to respond to a text, put my phone down, I go right to my son. 45 minutes of face-to-face with him. That's a goal every day. I don't meet it every day, but it's a goal every day to come home and at least interact, not just veg out or sit with him, like actually entertain and play and, bond with him. Every day goal, show up, be on time to work, set the pace for, the guys at the shop. 2 years from now, I want to be in Tyler's position with this company. I want to be, really helping drive sales and growing the company. He's done very well. I got, he wants to venture out with some other things that are more passionate for him right now, which is awesome. And I think he's blessed enough to do that. I'm passionate about growing the company I work for now. I have, I want to just grow what he's already established. So that's a 2 to 4 year goal. 5 to 6 years, I want to be blessed enough to take vacations when I want to. And I told him, like, he's fortunate to buy his time back. I can't buy my time back right now. I'm stuck in the world system of I got to go to work. I got to pay my mortgage. I got to pay my car payment. So I'm stuck in this system right now because I believed it. I bought a 30-year mortgage. I got a truck. I've got payments. I believe that system. I want to get out of that system and I want to start, buying my time back. I want to do things, hey, I've worked enough or I've established enough. I have, savings enough or whatever it may look like that I can start doing things that I really, truly want to. And so that I already see myself 6 years from now what my life looks like. I think about it every single day. I envision it.
That's
feel
called
that.
manifestation.
Manifestation. I feel it every day. Like I know where 6 years from now I'm going to be. I feel it every day. And that helps me with my positive energy, just being happy.
When you can see it, you can feel it. That's when it happens.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing of life is what you make it. And another principle of life is what you make it is like you are completely in control.
100%.
Of your day-to-day of what you do. I believe in God. I believe in the universe. I also believe in God, but I believe in free will. We were given free will to make choices.
Yep.
It's
Mind over
religiously, that's always been a crazy concept to me of like, I was brought up in Christian church and well, not really brought up, but I went to church as a kid and, it's been pounded into your head that like, thy will, not mine. Things just happen. Things are going to go in the way that they're supposed to. And I do believe that. But what I believe is that like when you're in there's mind, body, and soul, right? And when your mind, body, and your soul are all aligned, that is in God's will. And that's when, you're still in control. You still have choices. But that's in line with God's will. And that's when things do fucking free flow and they just come. And they happen and they feel good and you feel that energy like, this is where I'm at and this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yep.
I think I could sum it up in 5 words, dude.
What's that?
Winners win, losers make excuses.
There you go.
Because you could have made excuses. You could have been at the bottom of a bottle and gotten into drugs or whatever, just never gotten out of bed again. But at the end of the day, winners win. They find a way. They use it as a lesson. They adapt, overcome. That's exactly what you did. Not growth-minded guy in your position, loser for, lack of a better word, sorry, I'll say how I feel, is going to use that as, the cards I was dealt were so shitty, like, you don't understand. My kids got yanked away, twice divorced, like, it's all bad, and you're like, doesn't matter. I know where I'm going to be in 6-10 years from now. There's a bump in the road. It's going to be a story I tell one day. And it's not going to reflect where I'm at. So
some people were dealt shitty cards.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Look at David Goggins. We talked about David Goggins. If anybody hasn't, read his books, look him up. But, from where he started and then what he turned it into, and that's the say. I feel like every single fucking person has their own struggle, right? No one's childhood was perfect. I went through shit. You went through shit. You went through shit. So it's like, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to turn it into? How are you going to grow from that? So I think it's been a pretty good podcast, man. I think we'll probably probably wrap it up. We covered lots of different topics today, so this one's going to be fun to name and go over. But this is all good shit, man. All growth-minded shit. Guys, if you have enjoyed this podcast, found anything useful or helpful in it, please give us a like and a share. Subscribe on YouTube. We're on iTunes, SoundCloud. What are the other ones, Chad? Is that it? Spotify as well. Okay. So yeah, give us a like, guys. We do this stuff for free. No one's getting paid to do this. Actually, it costs us money to do this. We have this group of 22,000 guys in the Dad to Live forum, and this is just our way to give back, man. We feel very blessed, and we are nowhere near where we want to be. None of us are. We're nowhere. We're not billionaires. We're not anything like that. But we have life experience, growth, and knowledge. And if we can share that and help at least one person, that's really all that matters.
Winners win.
Losers lose. All right, guys.
All right.
Peace.
Undefeated, y'all are beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance. But his lines are overhead, better check the air for clearance. Call the tower, this is ours, clear the heat, the air apparent. Really, I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed, I'm raising the bar, you can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving, I think about time that somebody go get on their coat.
Thanks for tuning in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Be sure to tune in next week where we talk about, are you making your kids fat? And the coronavirus. Should you be worried? You won't want to miss that one, guys.
Making sure that you know why, because this is forever. And there will be no surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. No surrender. It's forever. You know this right here forever. No surrender. It's forever. You know this right here forever.